everyone, I'm Erin and I'm the program coordinator for Fedora, and I'm joined by Peter Winkles from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who's going to walk you through our demo. Today we are looking at rocfl, which is a utility that makes it easier to examine OCFL objects within Fedora or any repository that contains OCFL objects.
Hello, I am Peter Winkles from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I'm going to give a brief overview of how to inspect Fedora 6 objects on disk. The dataset that we'll be inspecting is a handful of UW-Madison's Fedora 3 objects that were migrated to Fedora 6. Fedora 6 stores objects in an OCFL repository. I'm going to demonstrate a command line utility called rocfl that I wrote that makes it significantly easier to examine OCFL objects. So currently, I am in the OCFL storage root directory, and as you can see, there's a nest of subdirectories here. And if you go down far enough, you'll find an OCFL object. So rather than hunting for OCFL objects, rocfl allows you to just list them. So if we do rocfl ls, we get a listing of all of the OCFL object IDs in this repository. And this repository is about 500 or so objects, so it's not huge. We can then list any of these objects to see what its contents is. So in Fedora 6, generally speaking, an OCFL object ID maps directly to a Fedora ID. So we'll do rocfl ls and ID here. And so this is now showing all of the files that are in this object. And since this is an object that is migrated from Fedora 3, it is actually an archival group, so it technically contains multiple Fedora 6 objects within it. So if we do a -L, we can get some additional information. And so this is showing that this particular version at this particular time was the last time that this file was updated. So you can see sort of when each file in the object was last updated in. And so if you wanted to see all the versions of this file, you can use the log command. And now you're seeing that there's 8 versions of this object, and you get a little extra metadata about it. You can look at historic versions with that same ls command, and if you give it a -v, you can look at, say, version 1 or version 2, and it's showing you a representation of the object at that particular version. If you want to look at a file at any particular version, you can use the cat command. So let's do a cat of the DC file. So that is the DC file at the head version. If you do that same command with a -v, you can look at it at, say, version 4. In this case, I don't actually think this file has changed, and we can verify that again by if we do our ls-l on DC, it's now showing that the DC file has not been updated since version 1. You can see there's a diff command, so you can actually see the difference between different versions and what files were changed. So if you run diff, say version 4 to version 7, you'll see that all these files were added, this file was modified, and then all these files were added as well. You can use that to sort of get an idea of what files may have changed between your versions. And one final thing is this rocfl sort of presents a logical view of your objects. If you're interested in the physical locations of files or directories, you can use the -p command or flag on the ls. So if you do ls-p, you can see, we'll just filter this for the DC again. So we'll see that the physical path for the DC file within this object is here. And so that actually this will be a good example. So if we instead filter this to b.fcrepo fcr root.json, we'll see that it's pointing to the physical path is in the v8 content directory. Now, if we change this to instead be v3, we'll see that in fact in version 3 it's pointing at a different file in a different content directory. And the same thing can be done at the object level. So if you're interested in the physical path of this object, you can add the dash O to your flags, and you'll see that this object is at this particular physical path. Alright, so ROCFL has a lot of features. This is just a quick overview of some of them. Hopefully that will get you started.
Thanks, Peter. If you'd like to learn more about ROCFL and Fedora, please check out the links included in the video description. In the meantime, though, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to follow along on our progress as we demo more features of what you can expect in the full production release of Fedora 6. Thanks for watching.